Sam, welcome to the podcast. I have a question for you. When you're trying to drive change in an organization, how important is a support network?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. I was trying to initially come up with some kind of fancy scale to measure, to measure the importance of a support network, and was trying to think of it in terms of whether you're working in-house or whether you're working kind of in an external agency, like your level of maturity and the size of your team, or if you're solo or in a broader team, or if you're senior, if you have senior buy-in or you don't. And I think in thinking about it, I kind of just came to the conclusion that it's critical wherever you sit. So whether you're internal or external, it's critical. And I think in terms of what you want to do to drive change and get that level of support is to demonstrate the value of your program and try and do that as quickly as possible. So I guess it's around looking to share the commercial value that your team brings in terms of kind of additional sales or additional leads or kind of the dollar value that you're bringing along. And then on top of that, looking to sort of add that extra layer on the top of customer value. So kind of delivering those customer insights that you can share with the rest of the business. So it's kind of on top of the extra revenue that you're bringing in, you're also delivering additional learnings about customers that the rest of the business can leverage and use as well. And I think that's around making sure that you're sharing that in as many forums as possible. So kind of any showcases that you have, or kind of via email mailouts if you've kind of done a recent test, sharing that it's been released, why you've done that, what you've, what the thought process is behind it, the hypothesis. And then once it's completed, and regardless of whether it's kind of won or lost, sharing the results of that as well, and sharing the thought process behind that too, in terms of and sharing the analysis and the insights that you've got. So
right,
you get as much from a test that's a test that's unsuccessful as a test that's successful as well. So just sharing that and the extra knowledge that you gain, I guess, to continue
and I would say
that
also
process.
exposing the rest of the organization to the process and to what you're actually doing, because for let's say 5% of an organization is experimentation people. Just pulling that number out. It could be 5, could be 1, could be 10, doesn't matter. And the rest is non-experimentation people. In most organizations, this is how it is. The really mature ones, everyone's into experimenting and all that, but we're not living in fairy tales. This is the reality.
Yep.
The rest of the organization could be completely unaware of everything organization is doing. They just see, oh, you changed the website. Cool. They don't know all the work that's being put in. So I think this is why it's important to share. Not overshare, not be boring, like, hey, look at us. But if you don't shout, they will not know you exist or why you're there. Yeah. Is that the case based on your experience?
Yeah, I think it's a case of that not necessarily having that level of understanding of what experimentation can bring. So I think I've been really lucky in the organizations that I've been a part of, that there is a level of, or the teams that I've worked in have got like a high degree of buy-in in terms of, this is a really great tool that we can leverage, and it's a really great tool to add that extra value and that extra customer insight. But then, like you say, it's around exposing that to the rest of the organization, and kind of breaking out, I guess, of that that local maxima of the digital team, and then going bigger in terms of sharing with other teams, and then not just sharing those results, but sharing kind of the thought process around business experimentation. Right. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment in terms of within our digital team, where we've got that buy-in, we've got that kind of process in place, but then it's also around leveraging that with our marketing team, and then other teams around the organization as well. And I think that's a bit more challenging, I guess, in terms of there's a level of familiarity within digital circles, but then when you kind of and kind of e-commerce, but then when you try and break out of that, there's it's not quite as well known, I guess. So
that would be my experience as well. The more you move away from digital, the less experimentation becomes a real thing, and more it's something that someone's trying to push on them to make them do and tell them it's the best thing, but it's not always easy to explain. So let's say you start working with or for a new organization. How do you start building that network? What is the first step?
Yeah, I think you got to make sure that you're identifying the right people to influence. So sometimes it might be incredibly obvious in terms of the people that you need to kind of get in front of, or show them your value. But sometimes it might not be. And I guess you want to kind of try and aim for the bigger fish to try and influence them. So you've got to kind of work your way up to that bigger fish. So I think there's a cool exercise that you can do called a force field exercise. So you kind of identify who's within your closest sphere, who you need to influence. Then you kind of identify, okay, who's their next level up, who we could potentially influence as well, who's their next level up, who we could potentially influence. So you kind of get this roadmap of different people that you need to talk to kind of deliver that level of buy-in and influence to get in front of, to kind of say, hey, this is a great tool. This is really powerful in terms of the value it can bring, and then also the level of customer insight that it can bring. So
what you just described is a mafia org chart, and there's a police officer thinking, if we press this person, they'll start thinking about not making any parallels between the two, but the chart, you should really draw a chart of people and who you can influence yourself, who your connections can influence, and who, that way try to make your life easier. So you're not trying to argue with people and forcing them into experimentation. No, that's not the point. You want them to be your allies from day one, and that will make your and their lives easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so once you've identified those people, it's then showing your level of alignment with them, like you're their ally in terms of achieving the goals that they want to achieve within their team. So it's kind of a case then of demonstrating that you understand their goals and you understand kind of the business that they're working in. So workshopping with them how, and again, this kind of speaks to people not necessarily having an understanding of or a high level of understanding around digital experimentation, but demonstrating kind of these are your goals, and then we're going to run an exercise which kind of gets alignment in terms of the digital goals that we run, or the digital goals that we have, or digital metrics that we can track, to then ladder them up to how they would impact their team's goals.
So the idea of building a support network when you enter an organization, do you think that's unique to experimentation, or is this just a general thing when any kind of activity starts?
I think it's something that it's very it's important to have. I think for experimentation, we may I don't know, everyone likes to think they're special, right?
That's why I'm asking. That's exactly why I'm asking.
So I think for experimentation, because we're maybe a bit of an outlier, a bit of an unknown to a degree for some teams or some organizations, that there's that kind of extra need to do that in terms of getting that alignment, raising that awareness, and kind of influencing to uplift the business and kind of impact it as well as we can.
That makes a total sense. And just to recap, because we're approaching the end of the episode, of the interview, get the alignment and make people aware of, number one, you exist, number two, what you do and how you can help them, and find the allies. Don't try to fight the organization. Find the allies and just work them one by one, and they will be on your side. Sam, thank you. It's a pleasure to have done this interview. Finally, we get to talk no hacks.
Yep.
Have a great day, and I will talk to you next time.
No worries. Thanks, Sunny. Thanks for having me.